What's up, YouTube and everyone else listening? It's your boy, BurnZ, back with Exposed After Dark, episode number 6 out of our 11 episode season. With me today, we only have one guy. We're going back to the fucking roots. Oh, wait, I can say that. We're going back to the roots, the OGs. It's just me and Steve today.
What's up, guys? We fired everyone because no one did an episode last week.
I was on vacation, so I put my time into the boss Steve over here. So I gave my
BurnZ has the excuse. No one else wanted to do a podcast. It was bad, man. I was pretty mad. I'm not gonna lie. But
we're moving on. Man.
We're moving on. We wanted to do a full 12 episode season, be really consistent with that. But it looks like it's going to be an 11-week season. However, the good news is we have so many topics for the rest of the season. It is going to be. Yes. We have so many topics for the rest of the season. But today is going to be one that a lot of people are talking about. Started off with the whole FaZe versus Tfue situation in the esport world.
We got the Nadeshot versus Merc situation. Good old Nickmercs.
And we got Optic versus corporate.
I guess in general.
Corporate, right? What are they called? The Infinite or something like that? Infinite Optic.
Infinite. It's like the company that
owns it,
or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
like
a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. But
started off with FaZe and Tfue because I feel like that's kind of like settled down a little bit. It's kind of been like a week and a half already. Has the contract actually been released? I'm actually unsure.
Has it? I mean, like, it pretty much. Like, it's like they haven't disputed. Like, FaZe made a video about it, and they never disputed the contract. Like, all the percentage. Like, the biggest thing is, like, the percentages are real, but they've never taken, like, money off. So.
I mean, when you look at it, it is 80. From what I've understood, it is actually 80-20.
Yeah, but that's for. The 80-20 is, I believe, for, like, if FaZe gets him the, like, sponsorship. So, like, FaZe is obviously sponsored by, like, a lot of different organizations. I think there's I don't remember what headset they are, but I want to say they're Steel Series. So, like,
I feel like it is Steel Series.
Yeah, so, like, if Tfue does something with them for Steel Series, then it's, like, 80-20, which, I mean, I'm not in his position, like, whatever, but, like, I feel like that makes sense. I don't know why everyone's making such a huge deal out of that. Like, the organization, like, that's literally just money the org's bringing in, like, and they're not, you know what I mean? But
yeah, no.
I guess the splits are.
I mean, coming from an organizational standpoint, like, we both have been in the position where we've run big communities, and we're more so in a position too where we have a budding company on the rise. And if I was in FaZe, I have to side with FaZe on this one, because the way I understand the situation, FaZe isn't taking any of Tfue's streaming revenue, YouTube revenue, all prize money that Tfue has won. He's got to keep. The only split is with the actual, like, sponsors with the company, but it's sponsors that. But it's the sponsors that want to sponsor FaZe, and Tfue is just part of FaZe, and that's why he gets that sponsorship. So for Tfue to be complaining that it's 80-20, I think he's just using 80-20 as this thing to make people freak out, when in reality, this whole 80-20 thing is just our sponsor deals. FaZe is in the right, and I have to side with FaZe.
And I think, well, yeah, I'm with FaZe too, but. Like, the biggest thing to me is, like, FaZe has been constantly trying to rework the contract. Like, you sign, and, like, from an organizational standpoint, I mean, it's the same thing in football and stuff like that. Like, they have rookie deals. You're signing what their worth is at the time. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone, and hecz, the big podcast with hecz, he was like, you could sign 1,000 people and only one of them's Tfue. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So they obviously got Tfue. Like, had Tfue not blown up, how he did, like, then the investment for FaZe would have been awful.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just like, they're basing it off Tfue's value now and not at the time when he signed the contract, because FaZe is, like, huge. I mean, in my opinion right now, there's 2 organizations that if you join, you're going to get a massive influx of just fan support, and that's FaZe has always been the best at that. they're number one. Like when you join FaZe, like you're blowing up like social media wise, like your personal brand's blown up.
See, I
And
disagree
100
with
Thieves
that.
is getting that. I don't.
Because you can be in FaZe. There are many people in FaZe who people don't know about because they just haven't blown up. Just because you slap FaZe, just like we'll get to it, I know, later in the podcast, but just like how hecz was saying with his podcast, you can't just slap an Optic logo on anything and expect it to be money. Just like you can't slap a FaZe tag on a player and expect him to just blow up because of FaZe.
The instant spike is just bigger in FaZe than it is in any other team. Obviously, you have to be good at what you do in work, but I mean, I would say like every FaZe member in their realm is well known. Like all the COD players that were on the team are always huge. Like the Fortnite players are some of the biggest names in
the game.
Everyone knows the FaZe Fortnite players. And, like CS:GO wise, everyone knows like who was on FaZe for them, and it's more European wise and stuff. But it's just FaZe is itself, like they build better than any other organization. They build a social following for that person and like your personal brand, which is what Nadeshot's trying to do. He says his goal is to emulate what FaZe does because they do it so well.
They do. They do.
That's the one thing with me that I looked at Optic that I don't think they did well. Well, we'll get it. I'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that because I have many opinions on Optic.
Yeah, but as for the Tfue FaZe thing, like I understand like why Tfue was pissed, and he definitely, if FaZe was legitimately acting on all those cuts and wasn't trying to better their contract, like they offered him $1 million a year like they offered him, it was like $80,000 a month, no splits at all, and like he was like no, and apparently it comes out that he just wants to go make his own like team and stuff, and like that's like okay, then just like say that. Like I want out of my contract for this, don't use the splits. And I don't know, FaZe is just
listen, like I think it was Binkz. Listen, shout out to Binkz. I have a whole new respect for Binkz after this whole situation, and but from what I think Binkz was the one who said it, that this isn't even like really Tfue saying anything. Yeah, it's his like management, you know.
Yeah, because his dad,
his dad is the one
in his ear and stuff.
They're telling him to say this, and yeah, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I understand like why Tfue's mad, but I just in my opinion, he went about it.
It's not like he's losing like this. He acts like FaZe is like robbing him when they're really not.
I do understand because he could be the issue with partnering with an organization, which is why I respect Ninja so much for building his own personal brand. Is like when you can't like go against competing brands. So like obviously there's like FaZe is really big into the esports world, so they have sponsorships with all these people. Like Tfue's not able to do that like contractually. Like he's not able to go out and find who he wants to sign with, which I imagine he can make a ton of money doing that, which is pretty much why Ninja. But like Ninja handled it perfectly. Like he blew up to anything when he was in LG. Like he just blew up to heights that neither of them knew, and I don't think LG could like fully handle.
But Ninja just went on. Luminosity did it all right though. Like he did it. They did it good.
Yeah, because Ninja he still like represented LG. Like he had his Twitch thing. He said he was Luminosity, and he had like the LG banner and stuff during his time. But like they let him go off and do his own thing. So I don't know. I mean, Tfue's huge, and we'll see how the FaZe fallout affects him. Like, and it'll be interesting to see how it affects Cloaksy, because I think he's moving in with Cloaksy. I think like tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I understand why he's pissed, but at the same time, they made this try. It would have been, again, my biggest thing if FaZe never tried to like rework the contract, then yeah, okay, like that's fucked, because you know how big Tfue is. But like Tfue asked for all this stuff, they came back, they gave it to him, and then it just was never enough for him. And I just don't agree with that.
I start to lose respect for that.
Yeah, I mean, like he's got to like FaZe put him on. Like he was obviously, I think Tfue even without FaZe would have been huge. Not in my opinion. I don't think as big as he would have been now, but he was like, you get big either because you're a great like entertainer and people love you, which is kind of like what like Nickmercs was for 100 Thieves. Like he was good at Fortnite, but he wasn't like, in my opinion, amazing. Or you get big because you're an absolute animal at the game.
And that's Tfue.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out, and especially World Cup coming up. Like I said, if I was FaZe, I would be petty, and if Tfue won like in the World Cup, I would take that, like his splits.
Yeah, I would enforce it.
But there's no FaZe would never do that.
Yeah, because then FaZe would actually look like the bad guy in the whole situation.
Yeah, and they don't.
Tables
They
would turn.
money. Like FaZe,
FaZe definitely doesn't need the money. They don't need it.
But yeah, I mean that's my thoughts on that. That's pretty much everything for FaZe.
Yeah, whole new respect for Binkz though. And I'm not. I'll be the first one to say it. I never really liked Binkz because I never really liked his attitude. I always thought always thought he was crazy, and I didn't really have patience for watching those types of videos where he would be like screaming and like doing stupid stuff like that. However, after this whole Tfue situation, I've watched his videos. I saw what he had to say. I followed him on Twitter. I have a whole new respect for Binkz, and I agree with how he's acting. It's not the quote unquote professional way of doing things, but he's being real with everyone.
Yeah,
I respect real more than that whole like politically correct have to be business like.
Yeah, I think Binkz is, and FaZe is a little different in the sense of like Optic, like hecz was the name and then the CEO. He like FaZe, like those guys like Binkz and stuff. He handles a ton of stuff, but he's not handling like players' contracts and everything. Like they have a specific division for that. So because FaZe is just so much more, but yeah, I mean that's my thoughts, and again that's pretty much it. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, but next, which is actually there's more information. You know Keemstar, correct?
Yeah,
he just tweeted more information about 100 Thieves. So getting into Nickmercs and 100 Thieves. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna read it in a second, and this is probably why. So pretty much getting into it, like you saw, it seems like a pretty like comfortable split between them. So 100 Thieves a couple days just says, hey, like Nickmercs is like no longer part of the team. Like Nickmercs was like, I'm moving on, and it's like, all right, like okay, like I guess like it's just time to move on. And then Nickmercs was on stream just saying, and then talked like, I mean, I don't want to say talked a bunch of shit, but he was talking a lot about Nadeshot and pretty much saying like he would never work with Nadeshot again. Like Nadeshot did him dirty and all this stuff, and he like broken promises. So Keemstar actually just tweeted and he said, rumor is Nadeshot offered Nickmercs 5% of 100 Thieves, then never paid up. Yikes. And then Nickmercs said, ain't no rumor, homie. It is what it is. What it is.
5% of 100 Thieves.
That's kind of what I thought. Like I figured, and this is and from that coming to Nade, it surprised me because this is a whole Optic situation when hecz offered like Nadeshot was going to get a percentage of Optic, and then he just didn't follow through, and they had their falling out for a little bit, and Nickmercs was like the first person on 100 Thieves. Like he really was like there at the start and helped. Yeah, he helped build that presence huge, and I love Nade, and I think he's an amazing guy, but
we don't have if Nade isn't Nade, esport community isn't the way it is now.
Yeah,
like, Nadeshot helped build a lot of what we have, the atmosphere, the vibe. It is because of Nadeshot and his vision and what he did, and
that is why everything like that needs to get just written on paper. Like,
yeah, you can't have any verbal agreements. Like,
I mean, I understand why Mercs is mad, but at the same time, he should have gotten like agreements and everything.
Yeah,
but that is. I mean, I don't know. I guess it also like you gotta wonder if Nate thought it was gonna blow up how it did so quickly. Because
I mean, I don't think anyone.
I honestly, no, you're good. I always think about this a lot. Like, I don't like how much we think? How much does Nate even own of 100 Thieves? Like, is he majority owner still?
He has to be. There's no way he's not at least owning 51%.
I'm imagining that's what he wants, but again, like they went through 2 series fundings. Like, how much did he give? Dan Gilbert gave him millions. Like, how much is Dan Gilbert getting? And then they got like Drake owns it, Scooter Braun owns it. Like a bunch of other people have gotten some piece of like the pie.
Yeah.
To really matter.
And what I'm with that whole 5%, maybe Nadeshot gave enough away where he actually he owns the 51%. But now if he gave another 5% away, Nade would go down to like 46% ownership. He wouldn't have.
Yeah, majority. I mean, I've always wondered. I wish I knew like majority stakes of what everyone owned in 100 Thieves, just to see what Nade like. Again, position. I imagine Nade is the majority owner. I don't think he would.
I don't think he would have done. It's his company. There's no way.
But I imagine he's got to have given up. Like, if I had to take a max guess of how much he owned, I'd probably say at most like 60, in my opinion. just for how much money Gilbert. Like I feel like Gilbert probably owns like a good like 20%, 15%, and then like Drake and Scooter and them own like a decent amount too. But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be mad if I was Mercs too, but he's chilling. They were saying,
He doesn't need a team.
Although I don't know, man. Especially with they were talking like especially with Tfue leaving, like Mercs could potentially just slide right in that FaZe spot, which,
that would be
I could see it, dude. Mercs is already big, but then getting that like another like that extra FaZe endorsement.
Yeah, but see, personality wise, I don't think Mercs is a good fit for FaZe.
No, I like Mercs.
I like Mercs. Mercs is definitely one of my favorite streamers to watch, but I think him just being solo and doing his own thing and building his own brand without a team would be better for him. And I don't want to, you know, what the hell do I know? This is just my opinion. I think Mercs being on his own would be better.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with like. Obviously, like, Mercs is bigger on Twitch and stuff than Courage, like, for 100 Thieves. But I think Courage is such a better fit for 100 Thieves than Nickmercs.
Well, personality and entertainment-wise, I mean, that whole Courage joins 100 Thieves video that Nadeshot released. I laughed a few times. It was a little cringy, but it was definitely... That type of entertainment, though, is kind of what Nade... I feel like Nade is trying to build 100 Thieves, like, Optic, in one sense, for content. But then, like...
He's said he's tried to emulate FaZe. Like that's his goal. He wants to do what FaZe has done for social media because no one does it better than FaZe. Like think about how big people are on FaZe. Like for just take YouTube for example. Like their FaZe channel gets so many views in general. Like all the time they have. I mean, FaZe Rug is one of the biggest YouTubers in general on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other FaZe members are just big in general too. Like they all have a huge following, and that's what Nate's always been big about. That like building your brand and stuff. Which, yeah, again, I mean, I like FaZe. I like 100 Thieves. That's one thing that I don't think Optic did well, which surprises me because they had Nadeshot. Like you only have on a like if we're talking like a Twitch and like YouTube and brand, like you had Scump was like obviously huge. Like he was the face.
He's the king.
I think crimsix had a good enough following. He wasn't like a huge guy, but like he had a good following. But then think about like the other people, like Embo is like I don't even know. Like he was getting paid to do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Embo. Don't get me wrong. I used to watch his.
I can't watch a Bo's video. No, I can't watch Bo's videos whatsoever.
I mean, but like he doesn't do like Big Timer was huge. Big Timer was the only like consistent guy.
He's the greatest. Big T.
But, like,
shout out to
Bo's
Big T.
Like he got paid for doing like nothing. He had Maniac. Hitch isn't like I don't know. They're just not like all FaZe members just are like big on social media. Like they're the FaZe house and like they started. I mean, they didn't start, but that was the first. That was like the first content house.
Yeah, but Optic.
Obviously,
Optic on the other hand has done unique things that no other organization has done either. So you have smooth competition that Optic did. You have the Optic podcast.
FaZe
Optic trivia.
FaZe cast. They had a FaZe cast for a while ago.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Optic's podcast. Optic podcast was absolutely insane. I used to love when it was like the first season of Opticast, I should say. It was really good. Now it was, all corporate and it's terrible. Everything about Optic is pretty much going down the drain, which is terrible and sad to see. But I give Optic that respect on the uniqueness because you don't. You see FaZe, they're just doing their own, video. It's like I don't know. I don't see like the whole collaboration of like a content house with FaZe.
Of what?
Where like they all get together in like one house just doing a bunch of content.
I think FaZe is way closer than. Actually, 100 Thieves has that bit like to me as like a big family mentality. Like that's only because of Nade, but Optic just never really like they had. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Like FaZe was always bigger. From a there's no bigger like it's not even like it's just straight facts. FaZe is easily the biggest off a social media standpoint. Like it's not close.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that.
But
I did always enjoy Optic's content more than FaZe's content.
Yeah, I mean, I was the opposite. I enjoyed FaZe. I think it was more the personalities in FaZe though. I didn't really like honest. I sometimes liked Scumped, but I wouldn't like watch them all the time. Like all the FaZe members, like the FaZe House back in the day, like when I was in high school, like I used to watch Adapt every day. I used to
I
watch.
used to watch Adapt all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Adapt. I used to watch Blaziken all the time. I used to watch Banks all the time. I used to watch Rain all the time. Like,
Rain I used to watch a lot too. But it was
like
Rain
they were
Adapt.
really entertaining. Like,
But like I have always to this day I still watch Hecz. I listen to his
the
podcast.
X is the only vlogs that I can.
I love Hex's vlogs. Other than that, I'll watch Big Timer occasionally, but it's mostly Hecz from Optic that I will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he just puts everything into it, and I mean, we'll see. I think 100 Thieves is gonna be like the next phase. I think. See, I don't know. I want to say. I think it's different because you have Nadeshot's like the face, but he's also the one running everything, versus FaZe. Like 100 Thieves is like a kind of a mixture of both.
That's what I said.
Like,
I feel like Nadeshot has built it, where it's a mixture of Optic and FaZe.
So they're trying to build like the actual social brand that FaZe has built up, but they keep the corporate side, if they're not corporate, but running things like Hecz has. And
because you keep saying how FaZe is the best to do it. Hecz built Optic and with everything about Optic by himself. He was alone. FaZe had many people helping each other build up that brand. Hecz did it alone.
I mean, I wouldn't say that because I mean I don't agree with that.
He did
temper, and I'm not saying he didn't build it a lot, but I mean, even though he was a douche about it, like Optic J was like huge in the beginnings of
Optic J. After hearing that podcast that Hecz and Hitch did, Optic J is a snake, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he was like huge for Optic.
Mm-hmm.
And he built it. I mean, you had like, and the difference is like, I mean, you had kids build this organization of FaZe, like everyone's dream. They
started trick shotting, and that's when just a group of friends.
Yeah, like that's just different.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I don't know.
Moving on though to Optic versus Infinite.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. So pretty much the big story here, Hecz ended up selling majority shares. I imagine it sold like percent. I don't know the exact numbers, but he sold majority shares to a corporation. They were trying to find a bunch of different corporations because they were they were doing terrible. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that they mentioned that because I remember when like Proofy came back, and I just remember like Optic was in such a terrible state, dude.
It was.
Every team was trash, and especially like their Call of Duty team was trash. But I
felt like everyone was miserable. Everyone was always fighting. And no one was happy. There was no one happy at that time.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand where Hecz is coming from, but I don't know. He can't blame the corporate side. I mean, like he sold it. Like he knew what he was getting into when he was selling like the majority shares. Like you gave it over.
But I feel like he was also promised stuff differently. Like he said, the first time he walked into the office, he didn't realize that when he sold his majority, he wasn't realizing that they were going to take that money and build other teams.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just like, but he's like he lost his control. Like I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
And,
like
no one was doing what he wanted anymore, and he kept saying it has to be like this. I mean, this guy had been doing it for years, and he was so successful, and they just took everything that he built, and just threw it away. He wasn't
good at building, and that's again where it differentiates. Like FaZe was so good at getting sponsors, and Hecz just was not getting enough money. They couldn't look at what FaZe did. They built enough capital, built up enough sponsorships, and they bought spent like $1 million on a CS team. Like Optic wasn't able to afford that because they weren't getting like the sponsorships and stuff they needed. And why that's the case, I'm not sure. I don't know if Hecz just didn't want to do certain sponsors or whatever it may be, but I mean it sucks. Yeah, like I'm sure him looking back on it, he either wishes he would have done someone else, or that's funny because he said he almost sold to Dan Gilbert. So like imagine had he done it with him, and then where would 100 Thieves be?
Yeah, but I mean it's also he didn't really want to do it with the people that he he actually sold to, and that's when he was like, "Yo, don't talk to them anymore." And Jay was the one who kept talking to them behind Hex's back, which led to their downfall. But Jay is like the reason that everything that just fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. I mean, it sucks, and Hecz made Optic what it was, and without him, it wouldn't be. But I mean, it's just, it's gonna be interesting. Like, there's gonna be no Optic left. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah, we have the new Call of Duty coming out, but on this time when this is recorded, it's May 29th right now. And tomorrow we get a trailer of the new Call of Duty.
So you're all in on 100 Thieves now, right?
If Optic goes, I will be. Well, I've always been a 100 Thieves fan because I love Nade.
Yeah.
But if Optic goes, then yeah, I will. 100 Thieves will be my favorite esport team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still chilling. I got my FaZe up. I'll always.
Listen, I'll root for FaZe if I see them playing, but. Like now, if FaZe is playing, I root for FaZe. But if it's Optic versus FaZe, I'm picking Optic. If it was Optic versus 100 Thieves, I was gonna pick Optic. If it's 100 Thieves versus FaZe, I'm picking 100 Thieves. Like FaZe just felt like third in my life.
You don't hate them, but
I don't hate them, but I don't really care. I mean, I think some of the best matches though that are streamed was Optic versus FaZe.
Oh, exactly. I mean, 100 Thieves is getting up there now. Like, I really want to see. I mean, in my opinion, I think that FaZe versus 100 Thieves rivalry is going to be it now. Like, before it was Optic versus 100 Thieves, but obviously with this Optic thing, the case anymore.
And we'll see what happens with the whole franchising of Call of Duty. I don't particularly agree with it. I don't want it to move to franchising. I understand why they're doing it.
I think it's too highly priced. But I do understand why they want to do franchising.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting because PC's moving. It's moving to PC now, so because Sony doesn't have exclusive rights to. So they're saying since they want to get it to PC, I mean, obviously you can use. I mean, I imagine it'll be interesting to see if it's PC in general and you have the option to use a controller, or if it's like PC but you have to use a controller.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
But
I mean, listen. I mean, the next COD, I guess I'm getting for PC. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it.
Probably get it for PC. I mean, the PS5 is coming out too, and I feel like there's no hype around that.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy it, honestly.
Dude, if gaming is moving away from console again and going back to PC, then I'm glad I bought a new PC. But B, like. What is going to be used for the... I mean, I guess my PS4 is now a DVD player.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, like, bro, like, I don't want to drop $500 on a PS5 that I'm not necessarily going to ever play.
I know.
Like, I would rather put that $500 to just get a new computer.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see where, like, gaming's taking us, and obviously there's a lot of drama going around and big names in esports right now, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, I I know you're not, the biggest Optic fan, but I mean, I'm just rooting on Hecz, just for the sake of, esports in general. I mean.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I like Optic.
Optic in the scene, it just changes so much.
In COD, I don't like Optic. Doesn't. I don't know, man. That's the thing. Optic never could capitalize on anything other than.
Yeah, but no matter how bad they were, Optic still had a huge fan base, and everyone always knew Optic. I mean, it was just a staple in the esport community. And to think that we may have a CWL where Optic isn't a part of it is devastating.
I mean, I don't even know had Optic stayed, and again, anything could happen, but you gotta wonder if Optic would have even. They wanted to get rid of the COD team in general, so I doubt they're shoving out 25 mil for its spot anyway.
Yeah. From what I heard, it's gonna be a draft.
Yeah, I did hear that, and that, I don't know, kind of, that's interesting to me. Like, I understand, the allure, dude, I would definitely watch, if they would definitely stream that and seeing, the draft night.
It would be cool to watch, but at the same time, I feel like the entire...
I think it sucks a little bit for the players, because then, I don't know, I mean, I guess if you move into something like that, it does get way more, professional. I mean, who do you think the number one COD pick would be, bro? Honestly, if I had the number one COD pick, I would take Priesta.
He's a beast. Yo, kid's a
Priesta
beast.
is so nasty. I wish he was still on
beast.
FaZe. But I mean, I would put Priesta up there, dude, and I mean, I think you'd probably put Dashy up there.
Dude, Dashy's like my favorite player on the roster right now.
I mean, Crim's good, but I don't see him as like a top.
Crim just has an attitude thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, dude, he's old. He's like turned 32 today. Or something.
Congratulations to Crim for getting engaged.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Even Scumpy, I wouldn't pick first. Like, I really think I would choose like, I don't know, Priesta.
Now, do you think they retire? Like Crim, Karma, Scump, if they, you know.
I could see Karma retiring because, I mean, it didn't seem like he really cared as much anyway. He's doing well. Scump will be interesting because, like, Scump's huge. Like, he's one of the biggest names in COD, if not the biggest name. And I don't know about Crims because I could see him. He's ready to strap up. At the same time, like, he's going for the most. He's so close to getting like the most championships in like history, like console history, dude. Like it'll be interesting. I just don't know the dynamic of like if they were able to keep their team, then I doubt they would. But with the whole franchising and if there is a draft, then it gets like really interesting to kind of see where you go. And then like, what if a player just says no to like the team that drafts them?
Yeah, like if you get drafted and you just don't sign the contract, that's a waste of a draft pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, like, again, I think the draft would be cool, but I don't think it would work in the set, like, esports. Because you can't, like, it's not, I don't think it's, like, sport, like, there's so much to go along in gaming with chemistry that you can't just, like, sports is different, in my opinion, because you can, like, you're just drafting, like, the best players and then putting them on a team that's established and then they get into it, but, like, you can't build, like, you're not building Scumpy and crimsix chemistry with, like, Scumpy and someone else, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, we'll see, man. Like I said, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Can't wait to kind of see where it all goes and everything. But
no, I think definitely one of the shorter casts. Just me and you. Not to say that we can't.
Yeah, no,
not to say that we can't talk for hours because I know we can.
Oh,
but
no, we could. I mean, I think we went over some big points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next week we'll have some.
We'll
some
go. Next week we'll be back to the normal crew. Hopefully, we'll see if we allow them back onto the podcast.
So, I haven't missed a single one.
That is true. But we have a lot of topics to talk about for next week. A few definitely fun topics to talk about. I feel like we'll get a lot of laughs and we'll have a good time. But thank you guys for listening. There'll be no word of the week. Unless BurnZ, you want to give him a word of the week?
Yeah, sure, dude. We'll do word of the week. Lemon.
Lemon. All right. Lemon, if you comment down below, you will receive a $10 Amazon gift card. Anyone who has won in the past, you are not eligible to win. Any Lividity or Lividity Gaming member or part of the XPOZED fam, you are not eligible to win either.
Anyone that missed a podcast, you are ineligible.
Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, guys. Peace out.
It was a good ride. Take care. Night.